Officially live, but I'm waiting for the counter on Facebook Live to show up. Just there we are. Welcome back to The Change Physician. I am Melissa Cady, the Challenge Doctor, with my co-host, Dr. Kevin Cuccaro. We're bringing to you Saturday Salutations on none other but Saturday to just discuss.
Imagine that. Who would have thought that was something that we would do?
So if you see it on Sunday, this is not really live. This is on Saturday. So we're here to obviously say hi to everyone, and for Kevin and I to say hi to each other, and also bring you up to speed on what's happened in the podcast in the last week, or anything that's coming up, or anything we've enjoyed this past week, or anything we want to just talk about or state our gratitude for. So did I go long enough, Kevin?
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I'm just going to pull up our most recent podcasts, and today is the 18th. So for those of you that followed this past week, actually we told you all last Saturday about our recent episodes with Dr. Bill Lear, which of course Kevin had to introduce because that is his neighbor, but he is an amazing physician, entrepreneur, Mohs surgeon, has a kind of interesting background. Serpiginous is a nice word.
Serpiginous.
He took a route of emergency medicine, and then he went into dermatology, Mohs surgery, and entrepreneurial type activities. Although he's done research throughout his life, and it's just a fascinating combination of things he's dove into. So did I say that right? Dove into.
Divin, not divin. Divin isn't a word.
Yeah, I was questioning my past tense there. But in this past week, let's see here. Today's the 18th, so it was the 16th. I'm getting confused on my days here.
It gets very confusing, particularly when you're looking at the calendar.
Boy, I think I got my dates. There's a date that's off. That's why it's messing me up, but that's okay. We'll figure it out here. I think the dates here, we're missing a date here, and that's why it messed me up. But what we had, it was a deep dive about Dr. Bill Lear. We had a discussion behind his back. Of course, you can always go listen to it and see what we said.
We should relabel those as talking behind their back or something.
Oh, there you go.
Because it is all funny.
Talking behind Dr. Lear's back.
And all the other previous deep dives we did. It's fun, and I can't remember. Oh, who was it? It was Dr. Fawcett, Corey Fawcett, was when I said, hey, we're going to do this episode about you. He's like, whoa. And he actually listened to it. He's like, oh, that was so interesting to hear people talk about our own episode. And then he had some ideas for like a future book and, all this other stuff. So anyway, awesome. If you guys do an episode with us and we talk behind our back, it's actually a very positive thing.
Yeah.
So you should like us talking behind your back.
Right. We might have a different, twist to something, or, doesn't mean we have to agree with everyone, but we at least give our, 2 cents. And
the other interesting thing is all communication is imperfect. Mm-hmm. So what I say, and I think I'm saying to you, may not be what you hear and what you understand me as saying, right? So then to actually hear you talk about it, you may actually, I don't remember actually saying that, but that's an interesting takeaway. And I can see how you would have gotten that information from there. I have a little pet theory on that too, is like, I'm thinking that the imperfect communication is one of the reasons that we have so many creative breakthroughs, is because then by that collegiality, and then you're talking back and forth, you actually end up with something that was not originally intended. And right. You wouldn't have that unless there was that imperfection there. Like there's a lot of stuff. Like you just kind of pay attention to some of your conversations, and someone will say, oh yeah, here, I understand exactly what you're saying. You're saying this, and you're just like, that is not what I said at all, but I really like what your idea is, and
that happens in marriages a lot.
Also all the time, right? It's imperfect communication. I think that's one big insight, is if you embrace that and you just recognize that this verbal language that we have is completely imperfect, and because it's not just the word itself, it's the tonality, the body language, everything else goes with it, but it's those imperfections then that often leads to these breakthroughs. So
yeah,
there's some deep thoughts for a Saturday morning.
That's right, but I'm also wondering if we say imperfections, but maybe it's not. Maybe just I think of it almost like each one of us has a different lens that's molded by our lives and our thought processes, and so it just we're seeing or hearing, I guess, I'm thinking seeing it through a different lens, but you know what I'm saying? Like
You're
there's a
perceiving
filter.
through a different lens.
The
Yes.
perception is through a different lens based on, you know, your previous perceptions or experiences and stuff. So it creates an awesome opportunity for, like you said, you know, whether it's inventions or creativity of some sort. There's something about just the way we process things differently or see things differently by what we're hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's cool. And then, of course, we had to do a replay of one of our favorite guests, and that was Dr. Rip Patel, who is an emergency medicine physician, does locums. He was with us for several episodes, and so of course we had to replay that. So I'll throw out a trailer actually this coming week or so with a trailer I didn't actually release at the time. I had so many good trailers with him that I didn't throw them all at once, so I had to save them for later, and that's going to be coming your way.
It is a little bit ominous because when we talked to Rip a lot, it was in the middle of COVID, like and actually one of our episodes came out because we talked about his experiences being infected pre-vaccine.
Yeah.
And now we're in the middle of Omicron. So, well, we're starting Omicron. So yeah, always fun. This has always been such an interesting, you know, that there's that old Chinese curse, apparently Chinese, I'm not sure if that's true, where they say, may you live in interesting times. And I think we are living in interesting times. So.
Yes, it's all about evolution, evolve ourselves as people, clinicians. We're evolving individually. Society's evolving. The pandemic's evolving. The variants are, you know, obviously part of that evolution of the pandemic. Yeah, it's all been just rolling with the punches here.
Yes, been very interesting for sure.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, what are your things for this week that you wanted to kind of the recap or bring in, or?
Well, I'm just gonna have to say it. I have really enjoyed. I've been a little bit passive in my, you know, wellness. I mean, I've been working outside, but I've been a little passive. Like, I've not been doing the greatest wellness. You know, none of us are perfect. Talking about imperfections, let me just pull that right back in. So I've got to get back on the bandwagon. I've always been a very active person, but somehow when I went through the yard work stuff, it threw off my routine. And then now I've been kind of out of that. Then you get back on the bandwagon there. But in the meantime, you know, I feel like I've woken up like a 90-year-old. Like I got to get moving before my back starts, you know, not hurting me anymore. So I need to tend to all of my wellness needs. But I always just love massage. Not quite as good as human touch, but I have a massage chair that a friend of mine, a nurse, and I bought at a conference for a discount. So it's in my sunroom of all places. So I literally will just like do my downtime. It forces me to just like pause, take deep breaths, relax, look at nature. And I just love the way massage feels, regardless of not necessarily for pain per se, but I just know that it makes me slow down. And so it just feels good. And so I'm very appreciative that I had that. I'd already paid it off and it's been sitting there because it was not in the right room for it. But now I take full advantage on a near daily basis. So
you can like set the chair up so it's looking out in your backyard, so you get the visuals, and then you get the text, the touch perception, all this stuff, and just be there and zen out in your.
I'm zenning out.
Right on.
Yeah.
Is this one of those chairs that has like the thing that squeezes your calves and everything, like goes all the way up? Oh.
It rolls on my feet.
Yeah. Wow.
I can put heat on the back. I get like all the warmth, the temperature change, the massive sensory overload. Human touch, or something about sensory. It's just so much better. That's what
that's unhuman touch, but there's something about touch.
No, I'm saying that it's not quite as good as human touch, but when you want it and not have to pay anyone for it, this will suffice.
Yeah. No.
So that's my favorite thing.
That's your favorite thing. Well, I had a couple things this week. One of them, I'm not sure if these are favorites, but these are observations, my weekly observations. So I've been really, with the new media, with the streaming services, I've been really fascinated how they're able to tell these stories now, and they're not confined into 2 hours like a typical movie, or kind of the 22 episodes, right? They kind of have these arcs. And what I really loved about that is being able to watch these shows where they actually can really deepen this world and really create the setting, right? And their stories are just absolutely amazing. I think some of the streaming things that are coming out now are better than any movies in the theaters, simply because of the way that they have the depth to do it. But that all being said, I've also noticed that there seems to be sometimes that whoever is designing these gets lazy or something, or maybe they're just not aware of it because the pacing is off. And I can't remember. There was a series last year I was watching. I was like, oh my God, like 6 episodes in. It was only supposed to be like 8 or 9 episodes. 6 episodes in, I'm like, you've not done anything for 6 episodes. And then they rushed it all in the end. Super frustrating. And there was a series I was waiting. I'm a total fantasy sci-fi geek, read fantasy like a ton when I was little. And one of my favorite book series was one called The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. And so they've just come out with The Wheel of Time on Amazon. And they've done some changes, some of which I'm like, I don't know why you did that. But oh my God, their pacing is atrocious. Like I complain about it. My daughter's like, well, why are you watching this? Well, because I kind of want to see where the story goes. But I'm like, okay, because I'm whatever, 6 episodes in or 7 episodes. I think they're only going to have 8 episodes. We have 1 episode left. They've barely done anything. And I'm like, why are they spending, these are 60-minute episodes, and they'll spend 10 minutes, almost not exaggerating, of people mooning at each other, like, like the moon eyes and ooh, that kind of stuff, rather than telling the story. And I was comparing it because The Witcher season 2 just came out. And if you haven't watched Witcher season 1, it's awesome. There was a super cool premise on how they did the first season with these timelines. It's super good. And it's the same length of episodes, but the pacing is phenomenal. Like, it's just, there's a whole character arc that's going through the whole thing, but every episode tells a story. You're not feeling like, oh my God, this is dragging on for so long. Quit them, stop them looking at each other and pretending like trying to transmit tons of emotions in a look that lasts 5 minutes. And so I'm really appreciative of people who do excellent work. Like, so whatever your vocation is, there's people who do really, really, really good work. And there's people who maybe they're trying. I don't want to be cruel to the people doing the Wheel of Time stuff. But man, there's just people who do really good work. And I'm trying to figure out, like, is it because the producers are paid more? Is it the writers are paid more? Like, what is the difference here? Because they're supposed to be investing a lot of money in this other one, this Amazon show, but it's just not, it's okay. It's not like fantastic like other shows are. So that's a long way to say is I just been paying a lot of attention to pacing and really appreciating producers, like people who actually produce these creative things that we're consuming in this multiple form. And I think it's a lot harder. If I know it's a lot harder than most of us think it is, good production is a lot of work, and these guys deserve whatever they're getting paid because they're doing a good job. And the other ones, maybe they need to get paid more, or maybe need some more skills. But
yeah, well, you think about movies or shows way more in depth probably than I do, but it's probably because I don't watch a ton of them.
Well, you watch a movie and you enjoy it, right? So this is the next stage of I'm enjoying this, and then the question becomes, why am I enjoying it?
Yeah, I don't think I've asked why per se. Sometimes it's obvious,
but if you ask the question why, then you can then start looking for things that may fill that are kind of fill that again, right? Because there's other things with all these streaming services. There's thousands and thousands of hours of stuff to potentially watch. It gets overwhelming sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm just like, well, what is it that I'm looking for? And it's just hard. There's a lot of junk that you don't want to watch, but when you find something that is really, really good, then you want to kind of absorb it, and then you hope that there's going to be more. And then I'm just trying to, I'm trying to figure out, like, why am I frustrated with the show? Their pacing's off. Why is this, this sort of annoying? Is it bad? Well, the actors are doing okay. The setting is pretty good, but what is it? Well, they're missing some element of the story. Anyway, so I think too much. That's probably the biggest thing out of all of this.
Okay, I feel for you because I think a lot as well, but it is what it is. Sometimes we need to think a little bit more. Some people need to think a little more than they do, but sometimes too much. You want to just, it's like the three bears. What is it? Not too much, not too little, just right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, baby bear. I think about Baby Bear all the time for a lot of different things.
Yeah. Cool.
One other thing is I finally, for those of you who remember, I've been reading this book for the second time backwards, where I started on the back chapter and went back, took a note, took 1 page of notes for every chapter. And I just finished this either yesterday or today, and made a decision. I'm not buying any more books for the next year. All I'm going to do is reread books that I've been wanting to reread, because it
re-solidifies the info.
Well, yeah, like anytime you read one thing, you don't absorb all of it. And then having had a couple of years in between the reads, I pulled out a lot more. Like, this is a really, really good book, even though it's kind of older. Like when you're looking at the psychology and recognizing that there's been a lot of research. This was published, I think, in 2007. And it's still really, really good. Like, I don't know. So that was a big one and a little thing on there, but that was my week. Oh, other than I got a COVID booster on Thursday.
Oh, how'd you do?
I switched so I had Pfizer for my initials, and I asked specifically for Moderna, because there's that little bit of data about perhaps better immunogenic potential with it. And yesterday was I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
I had a low-grade headache and myalgias, and well, previously with the Pfizer ones, all I'd gotten is just tired. Like, I just slept all day, didn't feel like doing anything. Yesterday I actually hurt, or not hurt, I ached.
Yeah.
So, but that was good. I was very excited for that.
Yeah. I was same thing. I mean,
yeah,
your immune system's working.
And that's what you want, right? I always find, I'm so scared of side effects. Well, you want those side effects.
Yeah, it shows you something's
it
doing
shows
something.
you that your body is reacting to this, which is exactly what you want.
I know.
I don't know. So it's been interesting.
Well, cool. Well, do you want to take us out for today's Saturday Salutations?
Sure. Well, thank you all for joining us on today's Saturday Salutations, where Dr. Amazeballs and myself get together and talk about the week, talk about past episodes, and provide some, who knows, philosophical expression that you may or may not want to listen to on a Saturday, but you might want to listen to it on a Sunday. So if you want to join us live, come here on Facebook at The Change Physician every Saturday, usually around 12 or 2 Pacific and thereabouts. And until next time, stay well.
Take care.